Madam Chair, you are live.
Thank you so much. It is 5:02 p.m. We are going to call the April 3rd, 2024 Quality of Life Committee meeting to order. Can I please have a roll call?
Counselor Castro,
Present.
Counselor Chavez,
Here.
Counselor Garcia,
Present.
Chair Cassett,
Here.
and Counselor Faulkner is excused.
Thank
You have
so
a
much.
quorum, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Wonderful. Moving on to approval of the agenda. Are there any changes from the staff or committee? And if not, can I get a motion?
To approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to approval of the consent agenda. Nothing has been pulled at this time. Is there anything that anybody would like to pull and not have staff here? And if not, can I get a motion to approve?
Move to approve consent.
Second.
Motion and a second. May I please have a roll call?
Counselor Castro,
Yes.
Counselor Chavez,
Yes.
Counselor Garcia,
Yes.
Chair Cassett,
Yes.
motion is passed.
Thank you so much. All right, moving on to our only item today, a presentation from the Arts and Culture Department update. We have Chelsea Johnson, our Arts and Culture Director, and I will leave it on to you. Go ahead.
And Charlotte Russell.
Oh, and Charlotte is here as well.
Sure, yeah. Okay. So, but
Can you get a little closer to your microphone to make sure that we get you on the?
there we go.
Perfect.
Yeah, thank you for having us here today. We wanted to give an update about what's going on in the Arts and Culture Department, the programming we've been doing, and what's on our radar for the future. So, let's see, first of all, we are so happy to say that we are finally fully staffed. As of Monday, we have Melissa Velasquez, our Art Services Coordinator, who came on November. I came on in September. Charlotte Russell also came on in September. John Dickinson, our new Community Gallery Manager, joined us in February. And Yaz Haldeman, our new Project Specialist, joined us 2 days ago. So after a period of intense rebuilding, we are finally a complete department and ready to really let loose and get going with all of our, both maintaining the programs that the department has already had running, as well as expanding and growing our reach. Yes. We will say that one pressure point that has arisen with being fully staffed is that we are out of space. We are housed in the convention center, as you may know, next door. We have 2 rooms that hold 6 people total. And one of those, which has John, Yaz, and Melissa, is part of the community gallery. So it's in a public space. This, as you might imagine, makes it nearly impossible to have Zoom or Teams meetings with any other members of our staff. It also means that we have no meeting space with privacy when gallery hours are underway. So that is a real pressure point for us and something we need to pursue.
Thank you. So we want to talk about a few things upcoming, one of them being the council district funding for fiscal year 24. These are the initiatives that have been put forth by fellow council members that are here today. District 1 is going to offer their funding. Let me just also say that this Arts and Culture Department offers $10,000, or there's $10,000 per district allotted for counselor initiatives. And so for District 1, it's funding for the Zozobra and also the Sila Rafina District Community Art Initiative. So that is a District 1. For District 2, we're going to be working on Art and Bike, and we've titled it now Art and Bike Off the Rails. It's a community event along the rail trail. And we've been working and talking with Counselor Garcia on how we develop this program. And then District 3, we're still waiting to hear from the two counselors on what they would like to do with their funding. And then for District 4, we're going to do a series of community engagement sessions plus a block party. And so we'll be, continuing our outreach with you all and hearing your ideas on how we can get these programs implemented and the fun that they should bring forth and communications with our constituents in those neighborhoods.
Right. So finally, the Santa Fe Airport Art Program has gone live. Many of you were at the sneak peek on March 16th. So the inaugural exhibit that's curated with the Santa Fe Gallery Association is sky themed. The next one, I believe, is fire for the summer. Then we'll have water, and then we'll have earth. The new terminal expansion is now open to travelers. The wall has come down between the old and new. See it all up and running. And we also have more things on the horizon. Whoa. For the airport. The muralist, the painter, I should say, Aaron Kinate, is doing a beautiful wall-sized mural that's going to go in one of the hallways that as people are leaving the secure area. And then Refract Studios, who you may also be familiar with from their project Ojos Diferentes that's around town, created this. You scan a little QR code and you can see this guy. Oh, here. There we go. Portal opens up over the runway. And this Colombian mammoth comes through. And there's a little educational narration that goes with it as well. They collaborated with a paleontologist to find out who would have lived here during the Ice Age. And this is the guy. So this is still their early draft of him. The QR code will be available shortly for people to scan. You can see it on your phone. And they are going to revise him a little so he comes up and waves his trunk at the viewer in the window. So just a moment of real delight that also ties to Santa Fe's, deeply ancient history.
Okay. Then we had a series of pop-up events, which were a lot of fun in our community gallery. We were able to open the community gallery after a period of dormancy with our first meeting of the Poet Laureate, which was, we welcomed Tommy Archuleta, who's the Santa Fe Poet Laureate. It was a great turnout. This picture is of the audience that were in attendance. And then this lower picture is Tommy and his father and his assistant. And it was a really great gathering. And there were actually tears cried from some of the people in attendance that the poetry was so moving. So that was a great event. We also had a Proud to be Black history event, which was also a really great, wonderful pop-up event, really well attended. There was art on loan for a few different galleries in Santa Fe. So we had some art and food, and there was music and just a lot of great fun. And there were people in attendance. There was a baby who was about 2 months old. And then another senior person who told us her husband was 85 and she had to take him home. So it was a range of community members attending the event. And then finally, right now up in the gallery is our annual artworks exhibit. It's Santa Fe Youth Art. It was all these events. It's been really wonderful to see. They've been really well attended. Lots of students who came and showed their work, and we're really happy to see their work up on the walls in the community gallery. So that's what's happening recently in the reopening of the community gallery.
There were actually some little kids over there as we left. And that show closes on Saturday. So if you want to go check out the kids' art, it's really sweet. So Midtown, we checked in with you all about this last time we were presenting, and we're happy to say that the Garson Studios Grip House film assets have all been safely excavated from that space. It was a huge pile of dusty equipment that had been left dormant for 6 years, and those are all being diligently and carefully inventoried and assessed by a team led by Milton Reese from Santa Fe Community College, the chair of the film program there, and some of his students. We have a similar plan in place for Benildes Hall's music assets, the recording studio that's pictured here on the right. So the picture on the left is the now empty grip house. The picture in the center is the Fogelson Library, where all these film assets are being stored, and you can see they're very neatly cataloged on the shelves there. And then on the right is the Benildes Studios that will be next up for inventorying and assessment. So, and as far as activating the Midtown space, we are planning a community event in June that will be helmed by Jamie Blosser from SFAI and Rashawn Ahmad from Vital Spaces. They're going to coordinate a community block party in the same spirit as the legendary one that took place there in 2022, I believe it was, right? So just to bring the community onto the site, get that engagement, that excitement, that feeling of local investment in the space. And then looking forward, we're doing a lot of sponsorships that we're excited about. We're co-sponsoring the Big Reads and Big Read events and the Santa Fe Literary Festival. There will be an exhibit in the gallery of Carrie Mae Rose's gilded agave wings, an installation that people can come take their pictures with that ties into the Big Reads theme of Madeline Miller's Circe. Pride, Juneteenth, the Summer Bandstand Series. We're working with the Zozobra folks on this artist project. There'll be 30 of these little mini Zozobras around town that artists will be painting. And Santa Fe Art Walk is also on the roster.
And then there are also some upcoming events in the gallery. There will be another pop-up event on April 14th with our Poet Laureate. If you haven't seen them, do please come out and participate in that. And then we have a UNESCO exhibit that ties in with Santa Fe's designation as a UNESCO Creative City for craft and folk art. And that will take place in the gallery between June. Exhibit starts in June. It'll be a Cocha embroidery exhibit, and there are artisans, a collaboration between artisans in Cuba and artisans here in Santa Fe that will be doing a group show. And we will have some other programming around the culture stitching that will take place in the gallery as well. And then what else? We have a bunch of other expanded programming, including free arts writing workshops, some other pop-up events tied to holidays and other happenings around Santa Fe.
We really want the community gallery space to be a community gathering space as well. Oh, and really bring in Santa Feans from all parts of the city to it. And it's not just, not just for downtowners and tourists, but a place where we are offering resources and events that sustain and highlight the work of artists in Santa Fe. The Mayor's Awards for Excellence in the Arts is returning. That will be taking place. We just nailed down the date, October 2nd at Site Santa Fe. The nominations are open now until May 1st. They've already started rolling in. We've gotten a ton of them. So that's pretty exciting. And
finally, our cultural investment funding for this year, we received, 46 traditional marketing impact grants and 12 collaborative impact applications. We're in the process of putting together the jury who will score the grants and score them and determine who will be the grantees. So that's a big part of what we do and what we've been working on and trying to get systems and processes together so that we can take in these applications and then have them scored and then be able to award the funding and then get to see what the artists will then bring to us that they've put together and put all their time and energy and resources into. So that's a big point for the department itself.
And speaking of granting, this is not on the list, but we've also been applying for external grants so we can direct more funding to individual artists and not just to formal nonprofit arts organizations, but looking for other sources of funding to help sustain the scene here in Santa Fe. So that's it for our presentation, and we would welcome any questions or conversations you all would like to have about arts and culture.
Well, thank you so much for being here. One quick housekeeping item. It looks like there was an updated PowerPoint. If we can get that uploaded into PrimeGov so it aligns with what was presented, that would be wonderful. And any questions, comments from members of the committee at this time? Counselor Michael Garcia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Director Johnson and Deputy Director Russell for the presentation. Really appreciate it and appreciate working with you on some of the District 2 events that we're going to be planning here coming May. So Midtown, you talked about inventorying the assets, film, music. Do we have plans for use after? And the only reason I ask is because my mind is thinking teen center. Our young folks can use that equipment, and if not at the teen center, Santa Fe Public Schools can use that. And I would prefer, that would be my priority, to have our young folks use that technology. I know in the past, some feedback I had gotten is that it's not up to date tech. Well, as a young person, any technology in their hands is better than none. And so,
That is
Oh.
exactly the plan. And I was just there on Monday with Milton, our lead inventory guy, and he's looking at everything with that exact lens. He said, here's the stuff that will be great for the high schoolers. You know, this is going to be too technical for them. This is like at their level. Yeah, the plan, and I can send you also our detailed inventory plan that I think has also been run by the city council.
okay.
That lays out the steps. But yeah, educational and community partners will be the first recipients of all those assets.
Okay, and so I'm assuming if it was teen center, it's because it's city entity, it's in loan within our own governmental entity, SFPS, probably some type of cooperative agreement. Outside of that, what would the agreements be in place? Because I don't believe we can just hand over the equipment due to anti-donation, but
Right, it would be a long-term loan and with a liability waiver. So we'd make sure that it's legally really secure for the city.
and when we do that, just because I can think there's many other entities that would love to have an opportunity to apply to have access to this. And so I guess, is that the question? Is it gonna be first come, first serve? How is that gonna work? Just that way?
Yeah.
Because I can think of, like I said, I know there are many collaboratives, some more formal than others, that would love to be able to utilize some of the equipment that we have.
Yeah, we really want to ensure a fair and equitable process for how those assets get distributed. So we have a pretty detailed plan. Like once everything is inventoried and assessed, we can see everything we have. We'll invite all potential stakeholders or interested parties to the table and figure out a plan for equitably dividing up those assets. Again, with our first priority being youth and educational organizations, and then moving on from there. Yeah, we have met with the Teen Center and have plans to help them set up a film editing and production studio and a little recording studio using some of the recordings.
And so I guess my request would be that once we maybe accommodate the needs of the teen center, or maybe some of the needs through Santa Fe Public Schools, that we have some type of public announcement, that because sometimes we might think we're reaching everybody, but there's entities that just didn't know about it. And if we can do as much public outreach to ensure, whether it's social media outreach, press release outreach, letting the counselors know, we can inform our networks. Because again, we want to make sure that these opportunities are available for everybody. The last thing I'd want is for an organization that could greatly benefit from these resources not know about it. But on the flip side, I don't want this equipment sitting on the shelf collecting dust either.
Right. Yeah, exactly. We're excited to put it all into works back into use again. We do have, if just putting it out there now, a surplus of pianos. There's something like 27 pianos that we're going to need to find homes for. And apparently pianos are strangely difficult to rehome sometimes. So if you know of people who are interested in pianos, you can put them in touch with us now so that they're first in line or in hearing about what will happen.
Right. Well, and with, for example, that point, I mean, reaching out to New Mexico School for the Arts and see if they need any in-house, or if any of their students can use them, and they can facilitate that loan process, right? Where the student has a piano at home, so to speak. And
Like a check out a piano. Yeah. Mhm.
correct. And so I'll let y'all figure out the logistics behind that, but I think the more we inform the public about the resources that are available, I'm sure people will come. And you know, kind of like that saying from Build Their Dreams. If you build it, they will come. If you inform the public, they will come.
Yeah, we definitely want them all at the table. Mhm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Director Johnson, Deputy Director Russell. Really appreciate it. Keep up the great work. No other questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. Counselor Castro.
So thank you again, Assistant Director, for the presentation. I'm super excited about all of the work. There was a slide on our presentation about some of the pressures. And so I wonder if there isn't, it seems that there's a lot in terms of the contract and information. Sometimes artists need a little bit of help sort of getting upstarted and getting to be a vendor? Is there anything that we're doing to sort of support artists?
That's a great question. So that had been in our original PowerPoint. I thought I'd taken it out of the PDF because we did get word from procurement that they are working on streamlining those things, and we didn't want to be calling them out for something that they had already done good work on. So Mercury's retrograde, there it is. But but yeah, this is one of our primary concerns, or one of the things we're really trying to work with on both a really practical and sort of philosophical level, which is how do we not just fund really well-established things, like the things that are already in bloom, but how do we also help sustain at the grassroots level what's happening here in Santa Fe? Because that's where all this art that feeds the tourism, like it doesn't come out of nowhere. It doesn't spring fully formed, right? It takes years to build and grow that. And we want Santa Fe to remain a place of economic opportunity and like creative opportunity for the people who are from here and who live here, reasons for youth to come back or to stay, you know? So the pressure points that we've been experiencing in terms of funding has just meant that funding has been very slow to get to artists as the fiscal year is starting to wind down. That creates a lot of pressure on their projects and on what we're doing. Yeah, did you want to?
No, I understand better now. It's mostly on the administrative side that things aren't working as well. It's not necessarily on the artist's side.
No, it's not on the artist side. It's that, as you probably have heard, procurement went through a whole kind of radical, I shouldn't say radical, through a pretty dramatic change this year in terms of their processes. That's partly, you know, really heightened vigilance in terms of the auditing. You know, we're sympathetic to what they're trying to wrestle with and figure out and make work. They want to do everything as legally and ethically as possible. Sometimes it's maybe gotten to the point of hair splitting and it's slowed down operations. We haven't been able to do things the way they were done before necessarily, which has, you know, created some tangles. There have been some log jams. But fortunately, since we initially had made the PowerPoint, some of those have started to clear and we're optimistic that they'll work with us.
Perfect, exciting. We're already fixing things. Thank you so much. And I cede the floor.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other questions, comments from members of the committee? I just have a couple quick questions. One has been conversations around the performing arts and how that is included in some of our grants, some of the programs, especially some of those youth programs. Could I hear a little bit more about how you guys are approaching the performing arts? And I know when we had the Midtown conversation, we also had the conversation around the lack of theater space, which obviously we can't fix everything. But I'm curious if you've heard anything, if you've been able to collaborate with some different groups on that as well.
Yeah, we're in regular conversation with a lot of our performing arts organizations, especially because we grant several of them. And in fact, just today, our new project specialist, we've set her off on a task to compile a list of every performing arts venue in town, its capacity, and its contact person. Because a lot of our organizations don't have a permanent space. This is something, as you mentioned, they all struggle with, right? So until, you know, the Midtown venues are back up and running, the Greer Garson Theater, the Screen, there's the Cinema Cafe that Rashawn is working on rehabilitating. There's a lot of venues in progress, but of course that takes time. So in the meantime, we are, as I said, creating an inventory of all possible venues in town because we do get regular requests about that. Yeah. And oh yeah, and as Charlotte points out, offering the community gallery as a space for size appropriate things. Yeah. We have, with some Midtown assets, have created a better sound system we set up with Justin Ray from Remix Audio. So we are increasing our capacity to be an actual performance and event space for a more diverse range of groups.
That's wonderful. Really excited to hear that. And I know it would be a smaller audience, but I think still an opportunity for a lot of organizations. So
Totally.
well, thank you so much for your updates and for all of your work. Really excited for a number of the projects that are coming up and the events in the future. And I'm sure that we will be getting more updates through Quality of Life. And as always, reach out to us with anything you need.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, moving along to matters from staff.
Oh.
Good evening. I'm going to report for Rich Brown, Director Brown in Community Development. He gave us a few updates from the Office of Economic Development. They've got a lot of fun things coming up. Equal Grounds meetup on April 9th from 8:30 to 10 at Site Santa Fe. The Santa Fe Above the Line Film and Digital Coffee and Collab is on 4/12 at 10 a.m. So that sounds like a great film co-sponsored by the Santa Fe Film Office. And then the Santa Fe Chamber Business Expo on 4/18 from 3 to 6 at the Santa Fe Convention Center. Also, the International Folk Art Market Call for Food and Beverage Partners. Applications are due on May 15th. And the New Mexico Economic Development Department has launched a new tool, the Business Resource Map, that will connect New Mexicans to business, entrepreneurial, and community resources from across the state. And if you haven't signed up for the newsletter for the Office of Economic Development, it has so many great resources in it. So please sign up for that. That's OED newsletter at santafenm.gov. And then from the Planning and Land Use Department, the Development Community Convening, a planning meeting is underway on 4/30 at the Santa Fe Convention Center. So mark your calendars for that.
I'm sorry, what was that last one on 4:30?
A Development Community Convening. And hopefully you all saw that the Santa Fe Public Library is kicking off this year's Big Read. So we're excited about that program. Santa Fe Reads is kicking off on April 20th. And then we're going to partner with the Teen Center this year and have a giant party with music and food and art. And most importantly, get your costumes ready for the Gods and Goddesses and Monsters costume contest. So that should be a lot of fun. And we want to thank Arts and Culture for helping sponsor and make this year's Santa Fe Reads NEA Big Read a really great event.
And the book is Circe, correct?
It's Circe by Madeline Miller. We'll have an event on I can't even remember the date, but more to come in May at the Convention Center, where we'll have Madeline Miller virtually in conversation with somebody from St. John's College. And Arts and Culture is also helping sponsor a reception that evening. So I hope you all can attend. Just to let you know that bingo is going to resume at our senior centers next week. Next Wednesday will be our first bingo game. We paused it for a little bit to review our procedures and make sure everybody was having a good time. And so everybody is really excited to resume bingo. So I wanted to let you know about that. And then on the agenda this evening was the addition of 3 historic women's markers that will be placed along the river. And we're really excited to work with the Women's Historic Markers Committee to do some public programming. And eventually when we install those, we'll do some public programming and have a ribbon cutting so we can continue to honor our women in history. So that's what I have this evening. Thank you all.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Any other matters from any other staff? Nope. Thank you. Any matters from the committee at this time? Counselor Castro.
You have one more invitation also on April 20th at 10 a.m. It's going to be Earth Day at the rail yard. And so before we go to the Southside Library, we can hang out a little bit at the rail yard that day.
Wonderful. Thank you. Any other matters from the members of the committee? Matters from the chair. I do not have any at this time. Our next meeting will be Wednesday, April 17th,